One of the pupils has intimated that, of course, success will be theirs and that they are doing their best to ensure they are ready mentally, but most importantly, academically, for that very vital transition from primary to secondary education. Now, allow me bring you back to the studio, and we are taking note of the Bucket Initiative Karamoja Cry. This is one that has been put together by one of the leading persons in this country when it comes to humanitarian aid. But before we talk about who that is, allow me give you a preamble. According to latest updates reported by district officials to the World Food Programme, the total number of fatalities in 2022 caused by the current food crisis in Karamoja is a staggering 2,465. Most of the fatalities are children and the elderly. The last acute food insecurity IPC being a report revealed that approximately 518,000 people are in urgent need of food assistance in the region, with almost 428,000 individuals facing crisis levels of food insecurity, dubbed IPC3, and almost 90,000 in emergency levels, dubbed IPC4, in the period between March and July of this year. Up until this backdrop, many have come up to help government fight the food problem in the Karamoja region, but the road is still long. Joining me on Take Note is Crispian Bayiye, an associate pastor at Miracle Center Cathedral, here to talk about the relief plan that has been organized by Pastor Robert Kayanja, together with other partners, to channel and advocate for humanitarian relief in the region. Many thanks for joining us, Mr. Crispian Bayiye.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing this morning?
Fantastic.
We cover the backdrop of what is no doubt a grim spectre of food insecurity in Karamoja region. First and foremost, what is the Bucket Initiative Karamoja Cry?
First of all, Bucket Project is an evolvement. A few years back, there was a crisis, a security crisis, and Pastor Robert Kayanja and General Saleh were discussing a peace process in South Sudan.
Yeah.
The news came in that Southern Sudanese IDP camps are eating leaves. So Pastor was touched. So they talked to each other, General and Pastor, and said, we need to do something. We can't sit here where for Africans are eating leaves. So that's when they began the Afri Aid, and they took over 50 18-wheeler trailers of food, pads, milk, sugar, cooking oil, and beans. That
was across South Sudan.
South Sudan. But then Ugandans raised the cry and say, Pastor, you're feeding the next our neighbors,
feeding another country,
and yet we have our own people here who are suffering. And then so that's when the Bucket Project began. We were in Kirombe Crusade in Luzira, and Pastor fed people there. That's how we began. And then it went to Kirombe, then Chifumbira, and then after that again when we had the lockdown in the COVID crisis, Pastor fed people around Kampala, and a total of 600,000 kilograms of posho went in, giving in 4 bars of soap, because by then we knew that if you wash your hands, you can fight COVID, and then Ditto, and then sugar. So that's how the Bucket Project came up. It's a response to starvation and aiding families that cannot afford make ends meet. And then in the main process, as we were there, news came to us that Karamoja is in a starvation, actually due to a drought that has run from actually from January up to date.
That's one of the factors responsible for the current crisis.
Actually there are 3 factors basically: the prolonged drought, then cattle rustling, and also animals come and destroy their food. So that's why right now, actually, we are back from there last Saturday. We spent almost 2 weeks there feeding people, taking a bag of 50 kilograms per family. We took, so far, we have done 2 routes, and we have given away so far 60 tons of fortified food. We call it fortified food. This is not because it's not just posho. This has got vitamins. We've got boosters. We have coconut milk. We have powder milk in it. We have soya, pumpkin seed, of course, and maize meal, sugar. It's like that because when Pastor discovered that people have been starving for a very long time, they can't start with eating portion.
Yeah, you can't start with solid food in a state of malnutrition. Yeah.
So it's let's come up with a formula that can help someone even if they begin with porridge. But we discovered also that 3 categories of people are in danger, actually 4. That is the elderly, then AIDS patients, who are on ARVs, then children, and then single mothers. And our discovery is that rate of widows and orphans is rising. Because many men have died of hunger and other issues. So we found so many homes being taken care of 12 age, 12 years, 9 years. We actually found a young lady, I think she's called Alam. She was 12 years. The mother left in January and had 3 siblings. And she's the founder of the family. We found another family, a 10-year-old. Mama left 4 months before. And this 10-year-old is taking care of her sibling. So
mama, as in mama died.
Mama died, and father died. So they're just taking care of a 10-year-old, fending for the family. So that is the situation in Karamoja. We found the elderly. I said so many, and people there live longer. Finding somebody with 100 years, 102, 103, they can't even move out of the house.
That's right.
We found people who are laying on bed, just lying on a mat, because bedridden actually, they can't even move out to get leaves. We found that there's no family that had spent less than 2 or 3 days without feeding. And when we talk about feeding, this is not food, eating leaves, not greens.
Being able to simply get something to crunch on that can act as a food substance.
Yeah. So that's the state, and all rivers were dry. But somewhere, if they can get across leaves, and leaves are very precious, they can't eat every day. Maybe they eat 3 times a week and once a day.
When you talk about leaves, just paint us the picture of the kind of leaves. When you say leaves, plant leaves, tree leaves, what kind of leaves specifically are being, well, not even being looked out for, but what are these leaves? Tell us exactly what they are.
Actually, try to ask them the name of those leaves. They say they don't know.
Now, for example, you could have a tree, and then there are plants or outgrowth on the path. These could be also leaves. I do not think, is it as bad as that? Are they even picking outgrowth from the path or
normally why rivers used to be, there's a vegetation.
There's vegetation, yeah.
So they go and pick those leaves.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what they eat.
That is very grim.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of supplying the relief items, there is something you spoke about, and it reveals a public health crisis. I do not know whether there is intervention from the partners of Miracle Cathedral or Miracle Center Cathedral to involve or embed health services within this relief program. Is there anything like that?
First of all, the kind of food that is sent, the 8 components help to boost the immunity.
Yeah, they do, no doubt. But before that happens, there is need to attend to the immediate health concerns, including the very fatal effects of malnutrition. People are drowsy. People are vomiting the little they eat because of the shock that comes from. Is there a partner on board who is able to provide this particular service?
It's the arrangement that we are going to have on Thursday, because the first time we attended to hunger. And when you arrived there, actually, when you took the LC5, they talked about Kabong. But when you talk about Karamoja is a region, not a district, comprising over.
No doubt about it. It's a massive
but the
region.
worst hit is Kabong
district.
Kotido, Nabiratuk, Napak. They are the worst hit as we speak right now. And then Kabong has the highest GAM in the world. That is that is global acute malnutrition levels, whereby you have even kids who are stunted. We found kids fainting because of hunger. We found we were taken to graves, fresh graves. We have clips of this. Graves, fresh graves of people have been buried because of hunger. Normally, according to their nature, Karamojongs, when somebody dies in an area, they migrate. But this time, because they are weak, they cannot migrate. They can now bury people. Actually, they told us we no longer bury, we just throw away. people for the vultures to eat. That is the status. And from what you said, it's not far from the truth. That's 518,000.
518,000.
Because an average Karamoja family has 5 people. So we are talking about 100,000 families in starvation.
There's been a series of interventions from the government, especially the Office of the Prime Minister, including the rollout of should have been more than 50 tons of corn that was taken by the Office of the Prime Minister under the Disaster Preparedness Initiative. Is this even working?
50 tons is just a drop in an ocean. I'll give you an example. We have so far rolled out 60 tons of fortified food. Each bag is 50 kilograms of those 8 components. Right. So we have so far fed 1,200 families. Now imagine, with 60 tons, we have only fed 1,200 families. Mean out of the 100,000, not even 10th. We're talking about 100th. So if you're talking about the acute levels of hunger in Karamoja, they are appalling. Yeah.
If you're watching Morning at NTV, what you're seeing there are some of the officials that are part of the bucket initiative for Karamoja Cry.
Actually, if I can cut you short,
yes,
that lady, we found her in Toro Upe, just in Soroti,
okay.
I mean in Kotido. She could not sit. She was sleeping there for I think 2 days. She couldn't even carry herself back to the house because of hunger. She's not sick. She's not, yeah, she's just hungry. She's too weak. So when food arrives, then her daughter began to prepare porridge for mama. That is the state we are finding people in. And yeah.
Somebody can't lift themselves. Yeah. The ones who can lift him or her are also grappling with that
gentleman is 101 years and 4 months. We found him. Those are now fresh, not the first one, but the fresh. We were just there last Friday. We came back Friday.
Uganda, if you are watching these pictures from Karamoja, time is nigh to do something. This is unprecedented. It's unacceptable. We cannot have our very own facing what is no doubt a grim spectre to this extent. We must thank the Miracle Center Cathedral initiative of the bucket for Karamoja Cry and every effort that is being undertaken to ensure. I can see the happiness on the old man's face as he receives this particular consignment. You said he's 104.
101 years and 4 months.
101 and 4 months. This is heart-wrenching. And of course, the footage you're seeing there showing that away from hunger, they do also grapple with other ailments that need attention, and that partners, including the government, of course, all the effort that is being undertaken is commendable, but like you said, we need to do a lot more.
Yeah.
A lot more.
Yeah.
Thursday, there is something you say is going to be done. Yeah. What is rolling out? Just bring us up to speed with that.
Yeah. Well, Pastor Robert Kayanja is running this country. Everyone from your religious, regardless of your religious creed, your political, we are helping our friends who are in hunger. We have even worse pictures we cannot show there. Mothers left with only bones. We have seen, we can't afford to wait for people to die. Imagine how many days was that lady left to die if there wasn't an intervention. This is an acute crisis. We have an emergency at our hand that Ugandans need to rise up. Recently, a few months ago, barely a month ago, Uganda was declared that we have entered into the middle income status. But this is happening in our country. That's why we need to rise up right now, regardless of who we are. Bring in your 100,000, bring in your 10,000, bring in 1 million. We have so many organizations. On Thursday, past from exactly 11 to 1, Pastor, we are going to have a prayer for Karamoja, and also raise food relief to all people who are suffering in Karamoja. We have given you the numbers. Over 100,000 families are in that state. Like you have seen that Tata is an elderly person. They're in that state. Others are far worse off. So we need to respond. Like talked about medical. I found a lady who had cancer and she didn't know. Blood was oozing, breast cancer. Blood was oozing, and she did not have food. She was earning 300 shillings a day. So the sack of food she received, that up to 600, the sack of food she received of 50 kilograms is 100,000. We calculated it could take her 2 years of income to earn that. That is the economic status of those people. So we need to rise up as Uganda on Thursday. Tune in on NTV, go to UBC, Channel 44, where TV West. Pastor Robert Kanye is going to be on riding this country to raise resources, to pray, but also to raise resources to make sure we intervene. We can't leave this to government. If the office of the Prime Minister could only roll in 50 tons, I've told you we went in with 60, and we only helped 1,200. That food package can last them at least a month. That gentleman you saw there has told us, I'm going to eat this for 5 years. It is too precious. He can't just waste it. If you've been eating leaves 3 times a week, and then 50 kilograms of fortified food come your way, you can't just spend it that way. And men have been telling us so. Yeah.
How do you guarantee security for some of this food? Because a person as elderly as Tata we just saw, can they be able to keep this from anybody who might want to steal it? Are you guaranteeing this particular aspect of safety? Because the food is available, you've given it to them. Is it secure with them?
Yeah, 2 ways. One, we deliver that food door to door.
Door to door.
Yeah. Okay. So when we give you food that she was just in just before his house, we give you food, you enter it in the house. Okay. That's it. That is secure. Secondly, what we discovered with Karamojong people, they love each other. We actually work together. They love each other, and we made sure we supplied as many as possible. They have what they call manyata.
The manyatas,
and
those
then,
are the grass thatched houses, very low.
The manyata is the village.
Yeah.
Then there are those epiding, that the small gates you go through to serve. So when you have delivered food house to house, they can't fight each other because they've all received food. So.
All right, thank you very much. Crispian Baiye, Associate Pastor at the Miracle Center Cathedral, that is leading the Bucket Initiative Karamoja Cry, to be able to bring much needed humanitarian relief to the people of Karamoja that are facing an unprecedented hunger crisis. The situation is dire, and everything that you can do, of course, can go a long way in helping and rectifying this situation. If you are on Twitter and social media, of course, there is a campaign that is running, and like Mr. Crispian Baiye said, on Thursday an initiative will be launched, and that shall be covered across all leading media houses, including NTV. For now, though, allow me to say it's been a pleasure having your company. I hope you're part of that particular initiative. Here on Morning at NTV, the hashtag is exactly that, Morning at NTV on Twitter. You can always be part of the conversation Monday to Friday. Today, we shall end it here. It is on a grim note. I'm Chris Higenyi on behalf of my other colleague, Priscilla, Regina Naloga, and of course the entire team behind the scenes that ensures that this program comes to you every day. For the work done, many thanks. Goodbye.
You're watching Morning at NTV.